Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's case, we are going to be taking a closer look at Kristin Marie Snyder, a missing persons case that has gone unsolved for 15 years, and its connection to actress Allison Mack of Smallville. Kristin, or Kris as she was known for short, was a self-employed environmental consultant. She had a bachelor's degree from the University of Steubenville and a master's degree from the University of Kentucky, both in biology. She co-founded the Red River Gorge Climbers Coalition and is described as an avid kayaker and great lover of the outdoors. On February 6, 2003, Kris was seen leaving a NXIVM building in Anchorage, Alaska. The last sighting of her was later on that day at home. Her friends told reporters that in the day leading up to Kris's disappearance that she had been acting really strange. She was acting really irrational and very depressed, even suicidal, they say. On February 8, 2003, Kris's Toyota Tacoma truck was found parked at Miller's Landing. Miller Landing is a campground, fishing, and kayaking resort on Resurrection Bay. When they found her car, it is said that the driver's door was unlocked, but the keys still in the door. Authorities found notes from Kris in her car.
I attended a course called Executive Success Programs, aka NXIVM. I was brainwashed and my emotional center of the brain was killed, turned off. Please contact my parents. Sorry. If you find me or this note, I am sorry, life. I didn't know I was already dead.
Authorities also found that a white wood and fiberglass kayak was missing from Miller's Landing when they discovered Kris's car. According to the resort, that kayak was not fit at all to go in the water. In fact, it hadn't been in the water in 15 years. Because the kayak had no rudder, it would sink if it was tipped over. Cops did a 3-day search of the Bay Area, but they found no clues as to the whereabouts of Kristin. A former member of the cult NXIVM believes Kris was pregnant with Keith Raniere's baby. Keith Raniere, or Vanguard as he is known, is the owner of cult NXIVM.
When you get to something that's authentic, you experience this type of creativity, this soul.
And was recently arrested in Mexico for sex trafficking. Now this is where actress Allison Mack comes into play. As Keith Raniere is being arrested in Mexico, you can see actress Allison Mack of Smallville chasing the police after Keith Raniere.
Hey.
Let's go in the car. We're gonna follow them. Get out of the way. Huh? Lauren's coming. Let's go, you guys.
Allison joined NXIVM in 2010, and since then, many former members of NXIVM have come forward to tell their stories.
Let us in blindfolded and sat us in a semicircle, buck naked, no clothes, on a sheepskin rug. Like, could that be any weirder? And the first step is making a vow of obedience to her as me being a slave and her being my master. I objected every stage of the way, and she said, it's a metaphor. It's like guru-disciple.
Each member had to have KR and AM branded marks on their body, which are the initials for Keith Raniere and Allison Mack.
It was worse than childbirth. The woman on the table screamed out in pain, you know, twisted and turned and yelled, and the woman I was with holding her legs down, we looked at each other and we just wept.
And can you just stand up and point on your body through your clothes where the brand is?
So it's right here, under
right here?
Yeah, right there. Right under my underwear line.
Allison Mack was arrested April 20th, 2018 in Brooklyn by the FBI. Her charges were sex trafficking conspiracy, and forced labor conspiracy.
It feels like they got in there and they messed with my wiring or how I think or my perceptions.
So what did happen to Kristin Marie Snyder? Where is she now? Theory number one is suicide. Now, in the days leading up to her behavior, she was very erratic and irrational and was experiencing depression, according to her fellow NXIVM members. Plus, the note that was left in her car seems to be like she was kind of writing a suicide letter. The only thing that bothers me about this is that the letter wasn't finished. In the letter, I didn't read anything that said that she was going to take her life, straightforward, and the reason why she was going to take her life, or she felt she needed to take her life. It was almost as if she was either interrupted in the middle of writing a suicide note, or she was planning to just leave. So maybe possibly just running away or something like that. It's just very strange that the note stopped the way that it did, and it wasn't finished. In my mind, the note wasn't finished. I feel like maybe somebody interrupted her while she was writing the note. I have no clue, but that's the only thing that makes sense to me. Also, the fact that the keys were still in the door, although the door was unlocked, seems very odd to me. The missing kayak, a lot of people are speculating that maybe she got into the kayak, she took the kayak out on the bay to commit suicide, or maybe she was possibly running away and maybe the boat tipped over and fell. The only thing is that police for 3 days searched that entire bay area and found absolutely nothing. To say that she committed suicide, I feel like you would need to have a body. So because there's no body was found, we can't really say that she committed suicide. There was no kayak found. There was no articles of clothing from her found. There was nothing else besides her truck and the items that were in her truck, the note and stuff like that. So theory number 2 is kidnap. This is definitely a possible theory and the most likely theory to me. Reading over the notes, I get the feeling that someone interrupted her. That's how it looks to me. It would make a lot of sense why the kayak is missing. If she was pregnant, she definitely couldn't move that kayak by herself, but with someone else there to move it, that would explain the missing kayak right there. It would explain the missing kayak. It would explain her missing. It would explain the note not being finished. It would explain the key. It kind of explains the keys being in the door. Not really, but it just explains the entire setup and the way things were left. The entire scene, to me, looks like someone kidnapped her. So this is the theory that I believe to be the most true. Again, no body was found. So that is another huge red flag and sign that she was taken and not murdered or not a suicide. All the evidence, in my opinion, points directly to a kidnapping in this case. The third and final theory was murder. And when looking at the murder aspect, I had to look at the first thing I had to look at was the fact that there was no body. Again, everything is coming back to the fact that there was no body. There was absolutely no body. So to consider this a murder, I can't really say that it's murder. It's a possibility, a very strong possibility that it's a kidnap and a murder, and that would explain why there's no body. Maybe they kidnapped her and murdered her and took her somewhere and buried her body somewhere else. I mean, like I said, if this is true that she was pregnant with Keith Raniere's baby, then it is very possible that in an attempt to not get that out to public, that maybe members of NXIVM, even Keith Raniere himself, kidnapped Kristin and murdered her and buried her body somewhere else. That is a strong possibility. However, like I said, no body, so we can't say that it is murder. These are strictly just all theories. There is no real hardcore solid evidence to say that she has been murdered or suicide or anything like that, because there is no body. So at this point, she is just a missing persons that has been missing for 15 years and no one has done anything about it. And here it is 15 years later, and Keith Raniere is just now being arrested on sex trafficking charges. That's really odd and strange to me. She goes missing 15 years ago, no one hears about her. She writes this weird, strange letter about NXIVM and the cult that she was in. No one looks into NXIVM and Keith Raniere. They just completely wipe it off as maybe a suicide or missing persons. The way that I see it and the way I'm looking at it, everything is circling right back to Keith Raniere and NXIVM. Everything, her letters, the stuff she wrote in her letters were so eerie and so creepy. Like, I could kind of feel how she was feeling, like what she was thinking in that moment. It's just really sad. It's really scary. And it's crazy. This whole thing is just absolutely insane. And I think that, I hope to God, with the new leads that they have on this case, that police and FBI really take all of this into consideration in the Kristin Marie Snyder case and reopen this case. Maybe it is still open, I don't know. Hopefully it's still open, but take another look at this case and try to solve it, because I believe that Keith Raniere is probably the answer to solving this Kristin Marie Snyder case. I'm so happy that they're investigating Keith Raniere and Allison Mack as well, and I just hope that all of this stuff that is coming out now bring new leads to the whereabouts of Kristin Marie Snyder, so we can solve this case once and for all and figure out what happened to her, and her family wants to know what happened to her. So what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. If you like videos like these, then check out my last video. I will leave it linked right here on the screen. As always, feel free to share these videos. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you don't want to miss out on any of my future episodes. And I will see you guys next time. Bye.